Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get started with today's video. General Hospital, GH, spoilers and updates for Monday, July 20th, show that Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens-Bruning, drops a bombshell, Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove gets cornered, and Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, adopts a fresh strategy. It's another busy day in Port Charles, so let's go over all the drama that fans should be prepared for. General Hospital teasers on July 20th say that Lulu will pay a visit to Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Benard, and reveal a huge bombshell. During the Monday preview video, Lulu tells her former father-in-law, Jason didn't shoot director Cullum on the pier that night. Obviously, Lulu will tell a shocked Sonny that Jason took the fall to protect his grandson, Rocco Falconeri, Finn Carr, from shooting Ross Cullum, Andrew Hawks. Will the mob leader ever be able to repay Jason for his enormous sacrifice? At the Quartermaine stables, Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, appears to be asking Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott, for a favor. Tracy is shown in Monday's program, asking, "What's the catch?" Someone will require Tracy's assistance, and it appears that Cody may request to borrow some horses in order to reclaim James West's, Gary James Fuller, affections. But will this be effective? The boys seem dissatisfied with Cody right now. In an unusual twist, Cody's gal pal, Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos, will also need a favor and will contact Port Charles Mayor Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis. Is this regarding Jen Sidwell's Carol Rhoda case? Will Molly abandon her book tour to lead the case of the century? Speaking of Sidwell, General Hospital spoilers for the July 20th episode indicate that his crony, Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove, will be taken to the PCPD. The trailer depicts Detective Joe Fitzpatrick, Jonathan Bennett, saying, "They don't have anything to hide, right?" Despite saving Joe's life, it appears that Ezra will have to deal with the consequences of attempting to assist Sidwell in his escape. Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros, appears in the General Hospital ad for Monday. She's in a room and calls Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, a disgusting pig. The twosome had quite the lip lock during the Friday, July 17th episode. So what's this about? Does Brennan make an inappropriate remark that turns Nina off? Furthermore, Willow will have an unpleasant discovery, so will she catch her mother and Brennan in some sort of act? Or is this something else? Willow, who is known for being disagreeable, will approach Harrison Chase from a new perspective. Willow will ask her ex-husband if he wants to visit Washington, D.C. in the episode airing Monday. I am with her. Talk about inappropriate. Finally, General Hospital spoilers for July 20th reveal that Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, will be traumatized by something, while Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, digs his heels in. Is this referring to Brennan's black case in her kitchen? Carly may be concerned that it contains a bomb or something similar, but Valentine appears to reassure her that the black case could lead to bigger things. According to General Hospital teasers, Monday's episode will be filled with crazy and tense scenes, so fans will have to tune in to catch all of the action. On that humid Monday afternoon in Port Charles, the air within Sonny Corinthos' compound felt thicker than normal. Lulu Spencer, her eyes bright with purpose after her stormy return to the canvas of life, clutched the steering wheel of her automobile a little tighter as she approached the gates. She'd been carrying this secret like a live grenade, and now she was ready to pull the pin. Jason Morgan had not been the one who pulled the trigger that fateful night on the pier. No, her own son, Rocco Falconeri, fired the gun that killed director Ross Cullum. Jason, ever the protector, had stepped in to accept the responsibility, protecting the boy from the disastrous consequences that would ensue. Lulu's heart raced as she walked through the familiar doors, the aroma of leather and mild cigar smoke welcoming her like an old, difficult acquaintance. Sonny was waiting in his study, his face etched with the lines of a man who had seen too many wars and suffered too much. He looked up from his desk, surprise on his face. "Lulu, I didn't expect you here today. Is everything okay with Dante and the kids?" She didn't spend time with pleasantries. Lulu moved forward as she sat across from him, her voice steady but full of emotion. "Sonny, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. What I'm about to tell you, it's going to change everything." She paused, gathering her thoughts, the weight of months of buried realities weighing against her. Jason did not shoot Director Cullum on the pier that night. He confessed to protect someone, Rocco. Sonny's demeanor changed from uncertainty to startled disbelief. His hands were locked into fists on the desk. Rocco? My grandson? What the hell are you saying, Lulu? His voice swelled, a mixture of rage and terror welling up. He had always been protective of his family, but this struck at the heart of his legacy, the innocent youngster stuck between adult blunders and mob entanglements. Lulu recalled the circumstances as she remembered them, piecing together shards from conversations, overlooked evidence, and her own mother's intuition to ultimately connect the dots. Rocco, under pressure from his heritage and the upheaval surrounding the Cullum probe, acted in self-defense or to defend someone he cared about. Jason, with his steadfast commitment to the Corinthos family and a history of sacrifice, had readily accepted the fall. He didn't want Rocco to face the system, the questions, or the potential ruin of his young life. Lulu said, her eyes weeping. But I can't let this lie anymore. Not when it means Jason is paying for something he didn't do. Not when my son is carrying this guilt alone. Sonny paced the room, his thoughts racing over the ramifications. If this became public, it would have a far-reaching impact on the entire community, involving police enforcement, the media, and old foes emerging. More importantly, it harmed his connection with his son, Dante, as well as the tenuous bonds that held the family together. Jason, always the damn hero, Sonny mumbled, grudging adoration mingled with frustration. He paused and turned to face Lulu. You did the right thing by coming to me. We'll figure this out, but we have to protect the kid first. That's non-negotiable. Their conversation continued, delving into strategies, potential allies like Anna Devane, and even Carly, who had her own complicated ties to Jason. Lulu felt a burden lift slightly, but other worries emerged in its place. What does this signify for her delicate reconciliation to Dante? What about Charlotte and Rocco's sense of security? Port Charles had a habit of turning revelations into full-fledged battles, and this one had all the makings of a bombshell. Meanwhile, across town, in a darkly lit office littered with political memorabilia and half-empty coffee cups, Councilman Ezra Boyle felt the walls closing in. Ezra, with his smooth charm and ambitious drive, had been playing a risky game for months. He had misjudged how quickly his secrets could be revealed, as he was linked to shadowy characters and questionable deals that straddled the line between legal and illegal. Today, those secrets were catching up with him quickly. Laura Collins, the unwavering mayor and a lady with an extraordinary ability to detect corruption, had cornered him during what was intended to be a typical city council meeting. Her eyes pierced into him like steel. Ezra, enough with the deflections. I know about the arrangements with Sidwell. The backroom deals that funneled money into campaigns that weren't exactly above board. And don't think I haven't noticed how you've been hovering around certain families, trying to insert yourself where you don't belong. Ezra shifted awkwardly in his chair, his usual polished smile fading away. Despite the air conditioning, sweat beaded on his forehead. He had associated himself with powerful but unpredictable interests, believing that doing so would raise his standing. Instead, it painted a target on his back. Laura, you're blowing this out of proportion. Politics isn't black and white. Sometimes you have to make compromises for the greater good of the city. But Laura wasn't convinced. She slid a folder across the table, filled with documents that painted a damning picture. Financial trails, witness statements, and connections that linked Ezra to manipulations involving local businesses and even whispers of influence over family court matters. Compromises? This looks like outright corruption. And if you're cornered now, it's because you've painted yourself into this corner. People are talking, Ezra. Powerful people who don't take kindly to loose ends. Ezra thought. He considered his alliances and the leverage he possessed, but it was fading. Sidwell's warnings repeated in his head, remain useful or become expendable. He had tried to play both sides, delivering intelligence and favors, but now the net was tightening. An unnamed source had called him earlier that day, warning him that evidence was mounting, possibly related to current investigations into larger criminal operations in Port Charles. Corner didn't begin to describe it. He felt exposed and vulnerable in ways that his public persona had never permitted. Desperation crept in as he tried to negotiate. "What do you want from me, Laura? A resignation? Admissions that could destroy my career?" His voice trembled slightly, exposing the dread underlying the bluster. Laura's response was measured but firm. She wanted the truth, collaboration, and for him to stop destroying innocent people trapped in his web. The conversation left Ezra reeling, leaving him to face the fact that his days of smooth-talking his way out may be over. He returned to his office, poured a stiff drink, and contemplated whether he could salvage anything or if it was time to cut his losses and flee. In another area of Port Charles, Willow Kane navigated her own stormy waters with a determined new viewpoint. Her life as a mother dealing with custody fights, love entanglements, and personal reinventions had left her resilient but exhausted. Her relationship with Drew had been a whirlwind of passion and complexity, but recent developments had her reconsidering her next steps. Willow had always been skilled at adapting, shifting perspectives when doors closed. Today, that new approach crystallized into safeguarding her family while pursuing a fresh start without unending controversy. Willow sat in the comfortable nook of her living room, surrounded by her children's drawings and half-packed boxes indicating changes, and considered her options. She had recently come to the uncomfortable realization that adhering to old routines served no one, including herself. Her history with Michael, the Quartermains, and the pull of past mistakes weighed hard, but she was determined to establish something fresh. Perhaps she could delve deeper into her nursing roots or seek out options that will take her away from the continual glare of Port Charles feuds. She took up the phone and called a contact who had given her a consultant position in a medical outreach program. It was a break from the high-stakes personal battles, an opportunity to focus on healing others and, by extension, herself. "I've been thinking about your offer," she said into the receiver, her voice gaining confidence. "I'm ready to discuss details. A new approach might be exactly what I need right now." But Willow's resolve was tested as thoughts of Chase and the ongoing custody difficulties reappeared. She had vehemently defended her decisions, but the new viewpoint required honesty, admitting where she had erred without losing ground. Later that day, she met with a legal counsel to discuss techniques that emphasized co-parenting over confrontation. "I don't want to fight forever," she admitted. "There's got to be a way to move forward that doesn't tear everyone apart." The talk showed dimensions of Willow's character that were often disregarded among the town's judgments. She wasn't just surviving. She was changing, seeking balance between her loving instincts and the drive for self-preservation. Willow felt a surge of optimism as the light dipped lower, throwing golden hues through the windows. This new approach was not about fleeing, but about redefining her role in Port Charles on her own terms, stronger, wiser, and less entangled in the webs others spun. Back at Sunny's, the conversation with Lulu had led to plans involving important participants. Carly Corinthos, upon hearing snippets from a hurried call, was shaken but supportive, her own history with Jason making her a formidable ally. "We'll get him out of this mess," she said, her voice filled with dread. Dante, unaware yet of the full bombshell, was handling department pressures, his detective instincts perhaps sensing shifts in the air. Ezra, meanwhile, made frantic calls, trying to shore up defenses, but each one seemed to tighten the noose. An unannounced visit from an associate only heightened his nervousness, demonstrating that cornered men often made impulsive decisions, ones that may either save or doom them. Willow's day ended with a quiet period of meditation, possibly sharing a tentative plan with a close friend, which solidified her shift toward stability. Because of their interwoven lives in Port Charles, these strands would inevitably cross. Lulu's truth bomb may expose bigger vulnerabilities that influenced Ezra's political games, while Willow's personal reset provided a quiet strength in the midst of chaos. As twilight descended on the town, talks lingered in coffee shops and hospital corridors. Whispers of Lulu's encounter spread slowly. Ezra's discomfort became grist for discussion among those in the know. Observers such as Nina and Elizabeth noticed Willow's small alterations, which indicated possibility for growth or greater conflict. The drama of General Hospital never fully ceased, but on this Monday, July 20th, the bombshell, the cornering, and the new angle weaved together a tapestry of human frailty and perseverance. Lulu's bravery in disclosing the truth about Rocco and Jason set in motion events that might either strengthen or weaken family relationships. Ezra's predicament underscored the dangers of unbridled ambition. Willow's transformation reminded everyone that, while difficult, change is possible, even in the most complicated lives. Hours progressed into in-depth chats. Sunny reached out to trusted contacts, weighing the risks of coming forward against the benefits of continued protection. Lulu returned home, greeting her children with newfound purpose, but sleep eluded her as scenarios played out in her imagination. Dante realized something was wrong, but he respected her privacy for the time being, their convoluted history still a bridge that needed to be repaired. Ezra found himself studying old files late at night, looking for an exit strategy. Alliances splintered under pressure. Possibly turning state evidence loomed as an unpleasant but necessary option. Laura's statements echoed, questioning his self-perception as a public servant rather than a self-serving operator. Willow, in the meantime, created notes for her new enterprise, including ideas that combined her medical skills with advocacy for families in difficulty. It felt empowering, unlike being defined by relationships or scandals. She looked at images of her children, quietly pledging to set a good example for them in the future. The town was buzzing with underlying tension. At Kelly's diner, patrons speculated over pie slices. In the Metro Court, business arrangements carried special weight. Even at General Hospital, employees exchanged knowing glances, understanding that secrets had a habit of surfacing when least suspected. Lulu's bombshell wasn't only about clearing Jason's name. It was also about holding the younger generation accountable and ensuring Rocco didn't suffer the consequences of mistaken valor. Sunny's protective instincts collided with his sense of fairness, producing internal conflict that would test his leadership. Ezra's cornering demonstrated the frailty of power based on sand. His encounters with individuals such as Sidwell promised influence, but produced entrapment. Now isolated, he struggled with morality, which had long been buried beneath political expediency. Willow's fresh approach offered hope amid soap opera themes of betrayal and redemption. Her trip emphasized themes of parenting, forgiveness, and self-discovery, providing a counterbalance to the more explosive plots unfolding. By the conclusion of the night, the stage had been set for ramifications. Phone calls helped to bridge differences, rebuild friendships, and confront individuals with their facts. Port Charles, with its mix of beauty, roughness, and never-ending drama, continued its story, one discovery, conflict, and turn at a time. The next day's promised clashes, admissions, and even unexpected alliances, keeping locals and viewers alike on the edge of their seats. Port Charles woke to another day of secrets, betrayals, and unexpected alliances as some individuals found themselves forced into precarious situations. Lulu has spent days grappling with facts that could drastically alter the lives of several individuals around her. The strain had become virtually impossible to bear, and each conversation simply added to the stress. Friends saw that she appeared distracted and emotionally weary, but few recognized the actual cause of her increasing uneasiness. After a difficult interaction, Lulu knew she could no longer be mute. The facts she possessed had the potential to reveal hidden intentions and dismantle well-planned schemes. As she prepared to divulge her bombshell discovery, she realized there might be repercussions for everyone involved, even herself. Meanwhile, Ezra found himself under increased scrutiny. What appeared to be a controllable problem rapidly became out of hand. Questions were being raised from all sides, and people who had previously trusted him began to distrust his replies. Ezra attempted to remain calm, arguing that he had done nothing wrong. However, each explanation he gave appeared to raise more suspicion. The walls were closing in, and he understood that escaping responsibilities might no longer be an option. A confrontation quickly erupted, putting Ezra in an uncomfortable situation. He found himself surrounded by people trying to discover the truth. The strain grew as old decisions returned and previously overlooked aspects became impossible to ignore. Despite Ezra's efforts to shift attention and justify his behavior, it became evident that his alternatives were limited. The confidence he generally exuded began to erode, displaying genuine concern. For the first time in a long time, he appeared unsure about how things might proceed. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Willow was dealing with her own personal struggle. Recent events had prompted her to rethink her goals and contemplate fresh options for the future. She had spent a long time focusing about her relationships and the decisions that had led her to this place. Willow realized that merely reacting to the situation was no longer sufficient. If she wanted to protect herself and others she cared about, she needed to handle the situation differently. This revelation prompted her to choose a new strategy. Rather than depending entirely on emotion, Willow began to seek realistic methods to enhance her position. She recognized that handling complex personal dynamics requires patience and meticulous planning. Every move needed to be calculated. As Willow investigated this new viewpoint, she learned that unforeseen opportunities may exist. Certain people who appeared aloof or even hostile may become valuable allies. However, trusting people was challenging. The possibility of changing alliances heightened tensions throughout the neighborhood. In Port Charles, alliances switched constantly, and today's adversary could become tomorrow's ally. Willow understood this fact better than others. At the same time, several families were struggling with their own issues. Rumors flew quickly, and speculations swept through social groups. Everyone appeared excited to find out what mysteries will soon be revealed. Lulu's internal battle grew more intense. She replayed innumerable discussions in her head, wondering if telling the truth would really benefit anyone. The information she carried had the power to save some lives while destroying others. Friends encouraged honesty, but they also cautioned her about the hazards. Once certain realities got public, there was no way to undo the damage. Relationships could end, trust could be broken, and long-standing feuds could resurface. Despite her anxieties, Lulu knew that remaining silent would only cause more issues. The burden of secrecy had grown too high. She desired release from the constant tension and uncertainty. She believed that information may be as valuable as loyalty. Every conversation and reaction held significant clues.